Hey everybody, this is Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I am in the process of trying to organize my albums to know what I need. Very first albums I bought were these brown Pioneer albums, and I really liked them because I thought they were nice and simple and I could add to them. And this was before Becky Higgins, and I kind of think Becky Higgins is the one that started that huge chunky albums that we could fit tons of layouts in. So this is before that. And I have my layouts from, I think the very first one is a 2006 and it goes to 2012. This is not all the layouts I've done. If you have seen my channel before, you know I do something called Refresh Mondays, and it's where I take old layouts that I no longer enjoy looking at and I redo them. And so most of those fall into this category. This album is going to have to be split up. I'm well aware. I have 4 of them, of these brown ones, and so my goal is to get 2000. I graduated high school in 2005, so I'm gonna have an album about my high school years, my school years. I have a baby album of myself, so anything after graduation to 2012. And the reason why I do 2012 is I started my family, like I met Sean and all that great stuff happened in the year 2013. So I find that 2005, the summer of 2005 to all of 2012 are my growing up years. Like, you learn so much, right, in that time frame when you're getting into yourself and learning about yourself and all of that. And so that's what all of this is. So I want to do an album share. Sorry, that was a 2-minute long ramble. This is gonna be a long video, guys. So grab a cup of coffee or some tea or whatever and settle in. I really love album shares. They are one of my favorite things, so that's why I'm sharing it. I can break this up maybe. We'll see how long I get, but just be prepared. It's a long video, okay? So here we go. And there's glare. I don't know how to deal with the glare because if I shut my light off, you're not going to be able to see it as well. So I'm really sorry about that. You probably will have seen a few of these because some of them are from my Refresh series. So the very first page, and it's the only page I have for the year 2006, is this photo of my little nephew, Zachary. He is my oldest nephew. I have, well, technically I have 3 nephews and 3 nieces, but in my family with my sister, this is my first nephew that I've ever had. And I have a very close bond with him because I got to watch him for a while, and he just is so precious to me. So anyways, this layout is about our 4th of July with him and how that sparkler he almost killed me with. But it's just talking about how his 4th of July went. And this was the year that his little brother was born, or his little brother had turned 1. So he was still, learning how to be a big brother in this. So there's that layout. I really love that. I'll flip it. I've never done an album share, guys. Please bear with me. This layout is about going on a zip line. This was in 2007. And for my birthday, I got to zip line through Whistler, and I think what it is you go from Whistler to Blackcomb. I'm not really sure. I really don't know, guys. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. I know we went from mountain to mountain some way, somehow. And I used some burlap that I had, and I just used a lot of really fun things. This is a redo. I had originally done this layout with, this picture is cut off. There used to be a boy in this picture that I dated for a long time. He's a great guy. I have nothing against him. I just didn't want him in my layout because I'm talking about myself and things that I did. So there's that. I loved this pattern paper, so I was excited to use that. And I just took this little deer right here. I just cut him out of the back part that I knew was going to get covered up. So there's that layout. This one I've created this one probably. This is one of the first layouts I ever did. Absolutely no pattern paper. I wrote stuff. I made this, I traced this little thing in Flourish, and yeah, so you can tell it's old, but it's just about all of the casinos that we saw when we were in Vegas. And you know what's kind of really neat about this is the Sahara is no longer there, and I can't, I think the rest of them are. I think the rest of them are, but the Sahara is no longer a Vegas casino anymore. So it's neat that it's in there because I did see it, even though it's no longer actually there. So I really like this one. This is a fun layout. This layout is talking about my Aunt Gail, and we're not like the closest family. Like our family isn't like some. I know some families are everything and they do everything. So, but my aunt was always a very important person in my life, and I've always looked up to her, and it's just kind of talking about how special she is to me. This layout is about San Francisco and how when I went on a road trip with my sister in 2008, this was my favorite city that I visited. And so I just grabbed a couple pictures of myself and the picture we took from Fisherman's Wharf, and I just did that. You probably can recognize some of the pattern paper. This is a newer layout that I created. And then this is also talking about the road trip and about how we drove literally from the Canadian border to the Mexico border. So it's just kind of talking, but we did a stop along the way to, this is falling out. I have to fix this. And we stopped at the Oregon coast. So it's talking about that and just one of the pictures. And you can tell it was really windy because my hair is crazy. And then this layout goes together like this. And it is, we celebrate the Harriman side of the family. There's a lot of us that have birthdays in the summer. And like myself and my dad, we actually have the same birthday. I was born on his 30th birthday. My cousin, it's kind of my second cousin. So my cousin's kid has a birthday in August. And so yeah, there's just a lot of us that have summer birthdays. So we get together, and that's what this is about. And I really loved this at the time. I was really close to my grandma. And now that I live in Canada, I'm not as close to her because I don't see her as much. And since my grandpa passed away, she's changed a bit. But I was really close to her. And so the fact that I got selfies with her, I thought was really kind of fun. So there is that. And then this layout is about my best friend's wedding, and they're just some of the snapshots that I got. And this is one of my very first attempts at using a bit of mixed media on a layout, and I had just painted around where I wanted to place the pictures, and I did it on a diagonal. And then this one is also for her wedding, and there's the picture, our before picture before we got dressed and everything. And I really like this. I use hexagons. I can't remember what year it was that hexagons were a big thing, but I used a lot of them. I used a few rub-ons. I did a bit of misting. And yeah, I like the way this one turned out. And this is our, she wanted a big hair type of style, so that's what we had. And this hairstyle really dates the year she got married, which I think is really cute. This one goes into 2009, and I worked at Kohl's department store, and so we had our big holiday party after, because if you've ever worked retail, you know there's no time for holiday parties during that season, so we always do it after. And so we did it in January, and we just went to the bowling alley and had some fun. And I have to say, I was of legal drinking age in the States at the time, and most of these pictures, honestly, I'm a little buzzed in. So it's kind of funny to look at these because I'm not like this at all. I very rarely drink. I have maybe a glass of wine 3 times a year. So this is really funny to me. Here is a layout. This is a complete scrap lift I saw once in a magazine or maybe online, but I think this is a magazine. And I took this picture of this snow one day, and I loved the picture. So I made it a big picture, and I can't even remember how I did it. Maybe I ordered it online. And then I just placed really pretty bright blue flowers. And all it says is missing the colors of spring, because this year it was a long winter. So I just did that. I used a rub-on here. So kind of really fun, and it was a complete scrap lift though, but I really love the way that that had turned out. This one is a picture I took of my shadow off of some rocks at Larrabee State Park, which is on the coast. It's in Bellingham, Washington, kind of in between Bellingham and the town over it called Mount Vernon. So it's called Chuckanut Drive, which is it's kind of treacherous, but it's really pretty drive. So anyways, that's that. This is before I did journaling, so really all it says is living my life every day, one frame at a time. Kind of, whatever. But it's starting to get into my style. I noticed that. I really love this piece of pattern paper. I almost want to redo this layout just because I want to use the pattern paper again. So there's that one. I did a now and then layout about myself and my dad, and it's fun to just kind of compare. My dad has aged a little, but hasn't changed too much, and I like it. It's really cute. Once again, I'm slowly getting into what my style is now, and you can kind of see that. No journaling except for the dates of when these pictures were taken. I just recently did this layout. It is for a challenge from the Victoria Marie Facebook group about, I think Hannah actually posted it, to do a layout about a celebration. So I did mine on turning 22, and this is a refresh. It was a layout that I really didn't like, so I just redid it, and I love it a lot. I used that block formation of triangles, and this is using a 6x6 pad I was trying to use up, and a bit of a doily, and some journaling. Finally, some journaling. You can tell that's a newer one with the journaling. This one is kind of a funny layout to me because I actually don't I like the color green, but I don't wear it, and it's not really present in my home. But back then, it was my favorite color, and it just kind of talks about that and how my grandma always thought it was my favorite color, so she always bought me lots of green things, and I just simply took all of these pictures off the internet and just made this layout. I was doing a lot of trying to find my style by doing stuff like this, so there's that one. This one has some kind of actual really personal journaling that I think normally I would have used hidden journaling with if I had scrapbooked this now, but I like it, and it shows my age very much in this. But what I did is it's talking about how I know I want to get married, when will it happen, that sort of stuff. Okay, it's just talking about I know marriage is for me and I want to do it and all of that. So, but I titled it Mare Age, talking about when will it happen for me. Once again, used a picture from a magazine or something, just highlighting, that she's wearing a wedding ring. And then I did mixed media in brown. Who does mixed media in brown? Do you remember that grungy phase we had in scrapbooking? That's kind of my take on that, I think, because I would never, ever do anything in brown now. These ones are just waiting for some extra layouts to be done. This layout I think I did this in 2013, but the layout is about a girls' night out that I had. This was the first time, with the exception of my friend Ronnie, was the first time I've seen all of these girls since we graduated high school. So it was really, really fun night. We had a lot of fun, and it's the last time I've seen the girls since then too. Yeah, it was kind of a one-night thing that we did, and I honestly haven't seen any of them with the exception of Ronnie since then. The funny thing's how life changes as you get older, right? This is another one working on a challenge I found online, and I'm just working on trying to include things that are about me, but don't have pictures for, and all of that. So, and a big title, so it says, shh, don't tell anyone. And it just says what my dreams were for 2010. So I dream of the perfect man for me on a daily basis. I already have my wedding plan, just not the man. And I love reading Christian fiction books, but don't tell. So I had found this pattern paper that was really pretty, and I just kind of I used my circle punch and picked the ones that I liked, and I tried to tie it in. So it's really silly, but it was something I did, and I created this layout in 2010, and so it's just kind of fun. So there's that. This one is just some random photos I had taken of myself, and this was in 2010. I no longer had a boyfriend. I had been in a really serious relationship, and it ended not on bad terms, but on like my heart was crushed at the time. So I was renewing and finding myself and all of that. So that I had taken some selfies. I was ready to smile and get back into life. So that's kind of what that's about. And here's a layout. I just did this layout for Jen Stokes and I do a series called Lifted, and where we find inspiration from other YouTube videos that we see, and we're like, I have to scrap that layout. So this one is from Kate Kennedy, and this layout is talking about how I could never live in Arizona or anywhere where there's a desert. I need my mountains and my hills and my trees and my protection. And I felt so crazy vulnerable when I was in Arizona because there was nowhere to hide. So I have hidden journaling, and that's what that all talks about. So I just created this layout, and there is a process video for it if you want to check that out. This is kind of a complementary layout to this that I did quite a while ago, and I title it Snapshot of Arizona. So I went to visit a friend in Arizona, and I took some pictures. It's a very, very pretty place. I just can never live there. So yeah, it was really fun. I had a good time there. So there's that. Here's another working on mixed media, no pictures challenge that I had done. And it just is talking about how I really like having smooth legs. So, it's really funny to look back at these, but it's cute. I like it. It shows where I was at, and it ages me. It tells you how old I was at the time, and it's just fun, guys. So I left that one there. This one is talking about how I love chick flicks. I no longer actually really watch a lot of movies, but I used to love them and why I love them, and those were a couple of my favorite ones. And then this one is a combination one I did, once again for a challenge where we were supposed to use up tons of our scraps. So at the time, I had subscribed to, it was called Scrapbook Circle, and it was one of the very first kit clubs. So I used up all of my pattern paper from that, and I do have a tiny bit of journaling just talking about how I could never live without pattern paper. I love it so much. So even back then, I was obsessed with it, and that hasn't changed at all. This layout is just a simple, using some stitching. I kind of got into a more simplistic style for a little while, and sorry, and that's what this is talking of, is kind of showing a bit more simplicity. I cannot talk, sorry, but just some random snapshots. And then this layout talks about my quirks, and the journaling is really hard to read, but it just kind of talks about some of the really funny things. And one of my favorites, so I'll read a little bit of it. So some of my quirks, the things of me just being silly, is driving my brand new Jeep into the car wash with my windows rolled down. I also said in front of my whole English class, so I was in college at the time, that the sound of a bee makes is bee instead of buzz, because I wasn't thinking, and it was absolutely hilarious, and I still remember that to this day. It was hilarious. Anyway, so just kind of talking about me just being silly, and that's me, and I accept it, and I'm happy with it. So there's that. I really loved this pattern paper. It's very, very pretty. It's so different from the things we use today, right? Because they're all more saturated, and this is more... it looks like it almost has a layering of gesso over it or something to kind of mute it down, but I really love it. This is another one of my favorite layouts I've ever created. It is about the fall. It is my absolute favorite season. I love autumn so much, and so it just is some snapshots I found online of pictures of the fall and why I love it so much, and then underneath I just kind of wrote what it is that I like. And here's my, oh, I had the hugest crush on Luke Bryan. Such a cute guy. A huge, so there's Luke Bryan, Luke Bryan. They're all Luke Bryan, yes. So I was just talking about how much I liked him. This is when I just had gotten, not sparkles, what do you call that? Glitter in. So I used some glitter. And, yeah, and used some stitching. And I really love this pattern paper, and that's why I think I keep this layout more than the fact that Luke Bryan's hot. I keep it because I like the pattern paper. This layout is about my shoe obsession and how I loved shoes, and I just used up some old pattern paper that I had, some washi, title it, and yeah, I'm okay with this layout. It's not my favorite. I actually did this one within the last few years, but I don't love it, but it's done. Let's see. This layout, however, I do really like. It was a challenge on scrapbook.com to use nothing but white. So I had this piece of white pattern paper. You could use cream. I had this, it's just a piece of like probably maybe from a phone book or something, and I painted it. And then I used just a bunch of anything white I had, I used it. Took my pictures that I had, it had snowed that day, and I took some really fun pictures, and I did no journaling. I just titled it Snow Day. So I really like this. It was a really fun layout, and I got a lot of really sweet comments on it. So I remember that layout quite fondly. This is a wrap up of the events in 2010. So I just kind of picked some of my favorite pictures from that year, wrote all the things that I had done, and that was my last layout for that year. Once again, waiting for layouts. This is talking about my sweet kitty cat that has since 2011 has passed away. He lived to be very old. I actually think he was almost 22 when he passed away. So he lived a very long and healthy life, and he was the best cat and the only cat I ever had. I had one cat and one dog, and they both lived way longer than they probably should have. But we lived on the side of a mountain, and they were like free-ranged animals. They basically got to do what they wanted, and I think that helps with their lifespan there. This is such a fun layout. I wish I could like let you feel it. This is not pattern paper, it's fabric. So I don't know if you remember that trend, but there's a trend for a little bit where to use fabric and then put your photos on. So I did that. And then this is once again still getting into myself. I was dating and all that fun stuff. So it says, I see me enjoying life. I see me finally feeling grown up. I see me trying to make the best choices for my life. I see me. So I like it. I really love this picture of me, even though part of my eye is blocked out from the light, but I really like it. So I just took some random pictures of myself, and then I titled that, and I used some butterflies and some big buttons, and I really like this layout, and I love that I did something out of fabric. This one is again some random pictures of me, and I just titled it Cute Pics. It was in April, and this is a redo layout. I had done it once, I didn't really like it, so once again, there's a huge hexagon phase in scrapbooking, and that's when I created this layout. And it's cute, I like it, it's simple, just got some pictures in a layout, so that's great. And this one is using up some pattern paper. I really like the way this one turned out too. Went to visit Seattle. I think this is about spring, summery time. of 2011. So I got to go up to the top of the Space Needle for the very first time, and the gum wall for the first time to visit, and all of that. So I really like this layout. It's really fun. It took me a long time to create it and to get it all to fit. But look at all the pattern paper I got on a layout. It makes me so happy. And let's see, we're almost to the end. I have like 4 more layouts to share, guys. This one I just created this year, and this is also from a lifted episode. This one is from Wilna Furstenberg, so you can look back on my channel and find that one out. This one, this is getting posted on Monday, and it is a layout about the waterfall that is on Highway 20, which is in Washington State. And I just really loved that waterfall, and I loved the drive, and that's just kind of what the journaling is talking about there. So keep a lookout for that. That should be posted Monday. This layout I created also this year in 2015, and it is just talking about how my best friend Tara and I spent 72 hours in Vegas, and this was in 2012, so we are basically almost caught up here. We stayed at the Excalibur, which was really fun. I love the M&M store, just some random pictures, and I love the way this turned out. This isn't a pocket page. I just put it on a piece of white pattern paper and did some stitching. Love that layout. And these are the last 2 layouts. This one is also about Vegas. This one should probably be in the front, but I was just putting them in an album, so I can switch that at another time. But it just talks about how we were headed there. We were super excited, and the selfie we took waiting to board the plane. And the last layout I have for the moment is going to see some concerts with my best friend, my other best friend. I have 2 best friends growing up. So we went and saw some country concerts, saw Blake Shelton, and this is another friend. This gal right here was actually my very first friend. We lived next door when we were really little. And she became friends with my other friend. And so it was really fun. We went to a country concert together, and then we went and saw Eric Church, and this little blue that you can't see right here, this is my friend's husband. So it was a great time. I had a lot of fun, and I really like this layout. It's using a lot of really fun pattern paper, and I probably should do some journaling in here. Maybe I'll think about doing that, but that's it. All right, guys, that is my old layouts that I've gotten done for past years. And that should have you basically caught up with my layouts. I do have a few from my childhood, and I will share that once I have that in an album as well. Thanks so much for hanging in there, and I'll see everyone soon. Bye.